Hello, everyone. By a show of hands, how many people own a smartphone? Now, look around you. Almost everyone's hand is raised, and I myself have even raised mine. We live in a world where technology is literally at our fingertips. Smartphones and technology in general have become increasingly popular. Over 86% of the world's population has bought a smartphone. As you can see, the number of people who have bought a smartphone has nearly doubled from 3.6 billion in 2016 to 6.7 billion in 2022. It's like everyone's carrying an extension to their arm, making it impossible to go anywhere without it. This is because smartphones keep us updated on the world and people around us. They're easy to use and can do just about anything. There's constant discussion on how much time we spend on our phones and social media. We even have apps that can help us track how much time we spend daily and per week. On some days, my screen time isn't as significant, but on others, I'm sure it's too much. My name is Jana Shalakhati, and this is Disconnecting to Reconnect. This past summer, I traveled to a summer camp. We went a couple hours north of Istanbul, set in the forest of Coche de Rese in Chile. The camp stated that they focused on community building, leadership, and personal development, using the stunning forest as a source of inspiration. Before we arrived for the camp, I was reading over the checklist of what to bring and what not to bring. And I see phones are on the not to bring side, partially due to the fact that there's no reception. But I was jokingly making comments like, oh no, how am I going to survive 5 days without my phone? And I will admit, part of me did wonder, while the other part was really looking forward to not feeling distracted by my phone and feeling disconnected. I can honestly say I've never recalled a time where I've been completely disconnected from technology with no access at all. When I first arrived to the summer camp, I was amazed by the beautiful scenery. So I was using my phone to take photos. A few moments later, I was in a constant habit of checking my lock screen to see if I had any notifications, only to realize I had no signal. This happened a few more times, but it made me realize how automatic this action was. It has been found that people check their phones at least 96 times a day, which is once every 10 minutes. This behavior is so engraved in us, we often don't even realize we're doing it. After we arrived home after an amazing 5 days, with everyone having a fabulous time, I realized I hadn't missed out on as much as I thought I had, and the only thing I really wanted to do was share my adventures with my family and friends. I overheard one of the campers saying to their parents, I can't wait to go back and play on my Xbox. And to be honest, it took me by surprise. I get that technology is an important part of our lives, but it made me wonder, isn't being connected with others and the world around us better than being connected to technology? Why do people think technology is the best thing in the world? How are we supposed to find ourselves if we're constantly distracting ourselves with technology? And this is what I've learned. Disconnecting is not the end of the world, but the beginning to a better relationship with yourself. We can all fear missing out, but by disconnecting, we can focus on ourselves and our emotions without being influenced by external distractions. This allows more room for self-growth. Taking the time to disconnect, it allows us more time to reflect on ourselves. And reflecting on ourselves is the key to living a more successful and meaningful life. Now, speaking of time isn't our main thing. Time is the only thing. Time is our greatest resource, and yet most people don't use time efficiently. Taking the time to disconnect and be alone can enable us to escape from the cycle of scrolling. So how often are we quiet and reflecting? I know it's not something I do often. I can easily chill out and scroll through my phone. However, taking that time to sit in silence and be alone with my own thoughts is not something many of us do. But we often forget that reflecting is an important part to our mental health. The importance of human interaction isn't lost when we disconnect. This is because disconnecting to reconnect brings us a greater understanding on how to interact with others in a more meaningful way. We can better understand others' emotions and be more present when engaging with them. Many studies have found many negative mental health impacts of spending too much time on social media and screens. These include feelings of isolation and loneliness, inability to stay on task, decreased attention span, and so much more. The Mayo Clinic stated that reducing screen time frees up more time to connect with your family and friends. These feelings of connections can help ward off symptoms of stress, depression, and anxiety. A University College London research conducted on the effects of social media on teenagers and its links to mental health concluded that teenage girls aged 14 who spend more than 5 hours a day on their phones have at least a 40% chance of developing depression. This is likely due to the fact that girls are more prone to cyberbullying, social media comparison, leading to a decrease in self-worth. But we should be more mindful of how much time we're spending on our phones and social media and how it can negatively impact us. Although there are many drawbacks to spending too much time on our phones, it's also important to bring light that phones are a useful resource for schools and business, and we also use phones to connect with family and friends across the world. I came across an educational philosopher, Rudolf Steiner, who founded Waldorf schools. Steiner believed that the human spirit needed to be cultivated and nurtured through meaningful interactions with the environment. He argued it was vital for children to interact in meaningful conversations with real people. Studies like these compare standardized testing scores in literacy and numeracy between Waldorf school students and public school students in California. Waldorf students are represented by a filled-in circle. As you can see, from the 2nd to the 4th grade, Waldorf students don't perform as well as public school students. But by the time Waldorf students hit the 5th grade, they outperform their peers by 10%. And by the 8th grade, Waldorf students outperform their peers by an even more impressive margin of 15%. This indicates that the Waldorf school approach, which emphasizes these relationships with others and nature, is more effective for children in their later learning years. Not introducing them to technology at a young age promotes imagination, boosts creativity, and can prevent various mental health problems. Now that I've experienced this camp and total isolation from technology, and only being surrounded by others and nature, I can truly say nature is underlooked. Although I will admit, I'm not one who will actively seek out nature. I do love it when I'm out there. We often forget that we are nature. Nature is not something that we should separate from. The Norwegian painter Edvard Munch, who's famous for his painting The Scream, once wrote that nature is not all that is visible to the eye, but includes inner pictures of the soul. So sometimes when we say we've lost connections to nature, what we really mean is that we've lost connections to ourselves. How can we connect with ourselves? Well, you know the saying, do what makes your heart happy? It's true. Whether it's doing a hobby you enjoy, or spending time with people you love, do what you like. There's times in life where we get so busy we often forget to pay attention to ourselves. Now, it's been a very long time since I've been completely disconnected from technology, but this camp has made me more aware of how much time I'm spending on it. Sometimes we want to be on technology, to consciously distract ourselves from what we're doing or to take a break from our day. But it's just important to realize how much time we're spending on it and for what purposes, and remind ourselves that even if we decide to disconnect, the world will keep churning. I'm not suggesting we eliminate technology, but I'm simply suggesting it's worthwhile to take breaks. Taking breaks from technology can help us balance our real world with our virtual one. Never forget, there's a whole life waiting for you, filled with small moments and experiences that you should treasure. Take these chances and opportunities. Cherish these small moments. Because as we all know, life will not last forever. So surround yourself with people you love, doing hobbies you love, or anything you like. Take a deep and spend some time in stillness and silence and immerse yourself in this natural world. Take a deep breath, relax, and remember, disconnecting is not the end of the world, but the beginning to a better you. Thank you.